Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. I have a slew of different news stories for you guys this morning, so definitely watch until the end. But nonetheless, let's just go ahead and get started. Donald Trump's legal battles as a New York judge denied his latest attempts to postpone sentencing in his criminal case. Now, this sentencing, by the way, is still set for Friday. Trump might escalate this fight to a New York appeals court. But here's the kicker. The judge has already indicated there's no jail time on the table. So according to the journalistic Maggie Haberman, the real punishment here might just be the public embarrassment and the jury's guilty verdict itself. So what are you guys' thoughts on that? Now, Donald Trump being the 47th president here coming on January 20th on his inauguration, at this point, is his ego and pride still fractured? Is his ego and pride still hurt? Or was it ever fractured? Or was it ever hurt? Here's the thing. He's a winner. He's been winning this entire time. Now, essentially, he lost the 2016 presidential election, or rather, the 2020 presidential election. But nonetheless, he's yet again going to be the president of these United States of America. And essentially, people are chanting America first as well. He will fix it. And that's what a lot of people are banking on. And there are tall tale signs with proposed legislation and the hinting and rumor and actual statements from Trump and some of the things he's going to do and try to fix the company. So again, I don't think he should be embarrassed. I don't think he's embarrassed, but I was questioning, why would he want this sentencing to be postponed? Does he have to be present? Then I can understand that. He's about to run the most powerful country on the face of the earth. If he doesn't have to be there, he's not going to face any jail time, then so be it. And again, everyone knew that he wasn't going to face any jail time. We're talking about a New York judge. What power do you really have to the president of the United States of America? I don't even want to entertain that any further. Next, now to move. This could shake up millions of credit reports because there's a lot of Americans in medical credit debt. A lot of you guys who couldn't essentially pay off the bill in addition with your copay because healthcare in America is extremely expensive and extremely high. President Biden's administration is working to ban medical debt from appearing on credit reports altogether. This would be a total game changer for working class Americans struggling with healthcare costs. But with Trump set to take office later this month, the future of this policy is up in the air. No one really knows if this is going to get passed or if it's going to be passed, if Trump is going to reverse it. Because will this reform survive the transition, or will it be another short-lived effort? Again, I don't believe Biden gives a damn. He's done more when it comes to legislation, when it comes to regulations in the past 60 months, and this is my conjecture on it, that he's done in his last 4 years. It just seems like he's doing too much. It seemed like, and I don't want to call him C now because I don't know if he is or not, but he definitely seems to be a little upset, definitely seems to be a little angry, and it may not be at Trump, right? He may not dislike Trump because of his policy and the way Trump is a businessman. He's more political. Don't forget, Joe Biden has been a politician for 40 plus years. And Donald Trump is not your typical politician. So he might just not like him on those stands. But is Joe Biden definitely mad at the Democrats because they ousted him? You know, whether it be Chuck Schumer and or Nancy Pelosi, they ousted him from running the second term, even though a lot of Americans, even myself, just doesn't believe Joe had it all there, cognitive ability and all, to run the country for another 4 years, let alone the last 2 years. Again, some people don't believe he ran it for the last 4 years, but I digress. But again, this may help millions of Americans. Are you for this? Or should everybody pay off their medical care? Don't forget, what's his name? Luigi Mangione assassinated or allegedly assassinated CEO Brian Thompson of United Healthcare. Again, there's a lot of backlash of people taking the side of Luigi Mangione. And at the same token, can you be for Luigi Mangione and not the essentially the assassination, but the thought-provoking action that he was taking to, again, bring attention to, rising healthcare costs. It's always been expensive for the past, 30, 40 years in America. okay, bringing attention to that, because I do not agree with the actions, but a lot of people are agreeing with the attention that the actions brought. Okay, again, it just, what part of the handle you want to hold on to? You want to hold on to the handle, or you want to hold on to the axe? I just don't know. But again, are a lot of Americans for this? Leave your comments below. I just want to know what you guys think on that, because again, there's a lot of, millions of Americans who are in debt when it comes to medical costs altogether. And he's stating that this will no longer affect your credit score. This will no longer be on your credit report. They'll just keep billing you. And guess what? How many millions of Americans can now go out and buy a new home? How many Americans now can go out and buy a new car and start a business because they don't have this very heavy load of healthcare costs on their credit reports that's been driving their scores down? Again, I want to know your thoughts. So Biden has also been making waves, and I reported on this in the past couple of days with an environmental order banning offshore drilling for oil and gas. Now, a lot of people are saying that this could hurt American energy. They had someone to speak on Fox News from the Oceanic Atmospheric organization that is a government-ran entity, and they're stating that this will not hurt America's U.S. coastline, because America has the strictest guidelines when we are drilling, where it comes to waterways, when it comes to earth. It doesn't matter where we drill. We have the strictest laws, and we also have the smallest carbon footprint while we're drilling because of our laws. So they're stating that the U.S. coastline roughly contains 14%, which is, and again, that may not seem a lot to a lot of people, but 14% of the world's natural gas deposit, that's a whole hell of a lot. And we can be tapping that in, drive American energy costs down, and also export to make America even more prosperous than what it is. So again, Biden has to know, or has privy to this information, but again, Biden doesn't give a damn. Now, this is big news that came out from the Pentagon. They reached a settlement with tens of thousands of people dismissed from the military because of their sexuality. This historic move aims to compensate those affected by discriminatory policies, some of which date back to decades. Could be a turning point for the LGBT community rights in the military, or is it too little or too late? Now, I remember when I served, they had a term called "don't ask, don't tell." Now there's a lot of people that's coming out. I think Obama started this. I think this started in Obama, and the new term we started to use, and this is informal, was "do ask and do tell." It was just kind of a play on "don't ask, don't tell," but nonetheless, I just want to read a couple of words here from this news story, if you guys would bear with me with my, college 8th grade education. It states here that a group of LGBTQ veterans who sued the Department of Defense last year for denying them honorable discharges because of their sexuality. Their agreement, which still needs a federal judge approval, streamlines the process for veterans discharged under "don't ask, don't tell," and predecessors' policies to eliminate references to their sexuality orientation from their discharge paperwork. Doing so can be a burdensome undertaking. The undercurrent standards stretch for years. The "don't ask, don't tell" policy and its predecessors prevented LGBTQ people from serving openly in the military. Gay and lesbian veterans denied an honorable discharge because of their sexuality may be eligible for an expedited upgrade review, according to the agreement, result of a year-long legal battle. Now, I've never really formally talked about this with other military personnel, with my fellow Marines or my fellow Army soldiers. I never really had these discussions. We knew that there were certain people within our ranks that was part of a community, and we just never spoke about it. It was just one of those things that we were more focused on the mission. We were more focused, on the task at hand and defending America at every single cost. And then here's the thing. Those people that we knew that was part of that community, as long as they didn't approach us in a particular manner, we didn't mind serving behind them or in front of them or beside them. There was no pun intended on the positioning of what I stated, okay? So just just everybody just calm down, calm down. But nonetheless, as long as those approaches was not made, I don't believe most people had an issue with it. Of course, there are some people who had an issue with it for the sure fact of people of that community serving, but I would like to believe the vast majority of people in the military, as long as you don't approach them with that ideology or approach them with that sexuality to either influence them in one way or another, most people, I would like to believe, did not have an issue with that. But I could be wrong. I'm just stating, thousands of people I serve with, that really wasn't, some of the talks that we had. That's just something that wasn't big on our radar. We were more focused on the mission, and we were more focused on milestones and tasks that we had to accomplish. The U.S. has announced it will allow humanitarian groups to provide basic services in Syria without running afoul of sanctions. This means organizations can now offer electricity and sanitation aid without fear of legal repercussions. And the reason for this, don't forget, I reported on this probably roughly about a month ago, how Western powers, including the U.S., went over to Syria, and now they're going to install a government of their choosing. I mean, a government of the Syrian people's choosing, that they can now partake in global import and export and be part of the world economy altogether. So this is no big surprise. This also reminds me of something that Elon Musk posted that I think that's very intriguing. Let me show you guys here. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I just want to pop this up if I can zoom in. And if not, let me see if I can just read a little bit. This might be small on your screens, but this is the Congress of the United States, House of Republics, Washington, D.C., January 2nd, 2025. The Honorable Donald J. Trump, President of the United States. Dear Mr. President, congratulations on your decisive victory on November 5th, 2024. East Tennesseans cannot wait to have strong leadership in the White House again. I write to express my strong concerns with foreign aid and being funneled to the Taliban, and my desire to work with your administration to stop tax dollars from going to terrorists. Last paragraph. I'm just going to read the second one here. During the 118th Congress, it was brought to my attention the U.S. State Department under the Biden administration was funneling money to the Taliban. In fact, when I questioned Secretary Anthony Blinken about this, he admitted that non-governmental organizations paid nearly $10 million of foreign aid to the Taliban in taxes. And what's funny about this is the same Taliban that ran, and I hate to say this because this is the way Joe Biden made it seem, that ran the U.S. military out of Afghanistan, and we left billions of equipment behind. There's a certain way that the military regresses and retrogrades out of a country, whether it be by force or by choice. There's a certain way. There's proper securities in place. We don't just tuck tail and run and throw stuff on a C-130 and get on a plane and just get out of there. That's not how we do things, unless we're being totally overran. But we had months to prepare. We have months to pack. We have months to get our equipment out of Afghanistan. And all the while, there's these so-called non-governmental organizations. But if you read the first paragraph, they stated that they were using tax dollars. So what non-governmental organizations paid nearly $10 million? What non-governmental organizations paid nearly $10 million of foreign aid to the Taliban? So essentially, did the U.S. government, because they said tax dollars, and or non-governmental organizations, corporation, paid the Taliban $10 million, and then they used that $10 million to buy weapons to eradicate the U.S. military out of Afghanistan? These are questions I have. But this is a very important note, okay? This is a very important note that he made this very, very public to Donald Trump. So shout out goes out to this congressional member here. That's actually big, big news. And I'm glad that people are now revealing the truth of the hell is going on with our tax dollars, let alone our country altogether, and some of the decisions that the Democrats have been making. And the reason why most Americans, wasn't you scratching your head this entire 4 years? Like, why are we doing that? Wait a minute. This doesn't make sense. There's some missing information here. I kept stating that for a very long time. Like, wait, we don't have all the information. Where are the clues? Where's the evidence? It's time for a change. And a lot of people may not like this change, but it may be good. And we'll just have to see. Now, in a tragic health update, Louisiana has reported the first U.S. death from bird flu, and officials confirmed the patient contracted the virus through exposure to birds, not from another person. But the question I have, how did the bird get here? How did the bird get the bird flu? Is it a natural occurrence that birds get the bird flu? Or again, I know a lot of people are going to bring this up. A lot of these viruses that deals with the asphyxiation, deals with your lungs, deal with your breathing, unfortunately, a lot of them have been concocted and derived from China. Okay, when you look at a lot of these bird flus, you look at COVID-19, there's another one, SARS is another one. It has to deal with the breathing tract of the human body. A lot of them derive from China. And I'm not stating that this bird is from China or this has been, or this, has contracted from China. I'm not stating that. I'm just looking at historical references of what things naturally occurred or derived or were made in a certain region in the world. But nonetheless, that is what the investigation has to reveal. How did this bird contract the bird flu? We already know how the man contracted the bird flu, but how did the bird get the bird flu? Because this is the first case in the U.S. So again, we have to be investigative on these things so we can prevent things like this from entering our country. Now, Obama, he should have stopped this a long time ago, but 11 Guantanamo Bay prisoners have been released to a rehabilitation program in Oman, leaving just 15 men in the infamous detention center. And I reported on this, I think about 2 weeks ago, where there was 26 detainees, 26 detainees, and they have released 11 of them to be rehabilitated. And we were all told that Guantanamo Bay was closed down, but that's not the case. They still had people there. And there's a small snippet here that I want you guys to listen to. So listen in on this.
The Pentagon revealed Monday it is releasing one of the longest held prisoners at the U.S. military prison at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. Rita bin Saleh al-Yazidi of Tunisia sat in Gitmo for more than 20 years without ever being charged with a crime. The Biden administration said al-Yazidi, who's now 59 years old, was eligible to transfer after a review process. He had been at Guantanamo since the day former President George W. Bush opened the prison camp in 2002, accused of being a member of al-Qaeda, but never charged. According to Human Rights First, he had been eligible for transfer since 2007 by former Presidents Bush and Obama. However, a deal was never reached. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin told Congress he supported al-Yazidi's repatriation to Tunisia earlier this year. The Biden administration has faced growing pressure to clear the camp of remaining men who haven't been charged before President-elect Donald Trump takes over next month. The Defense Department says that 14 of the remaining 26 detainees at Guantanamo are eligible for transfer.
So that is what's happening with Guantanamo Bay. So there's still prisoners there. They still have 11 left. And I'm just essentially waiting to see when Guantanamo Bay will actually end. Because don't forget, this is your American tax dollars. There's just so many things that's tied to your American tax dollars. You would just be astonished of all the things that we pay taxes and where that money goes for. Now, in a stunning announcement, believe it or not, Meta, also known as Facebook, has decided to remove its fact checkers, claiming it will reduce censorship on its platforms. And critics argue this could open the floodgates for misinformation. Is this a win for free speech or a recipe for chaos? I believe it's both. Because they're switching to what Elon Musk has done with X in community notes, where people can essentially fact check, but in a more community form, where one part of the community is saying this is the truth, where another part of the community is saying that is the truth. It's going to be chaotic. I mean, it is what it is, but it's also free speech. Is free speech chaotic? It is, but it's free speech. And according to the Constitution, we supposed to have free speech. So I'm not anti, I'm actually for. Again, should there be fact checkers? My only thing when it comes to community notes and or fact checkers, that your comment should never be deleted. If this is a public platform, okay, and Mark Zuckerberg, of course, waited till Donald Trump came into office and Elon Musk came into office in order to make this change. Now, do you believe that good old Mark would have changed his stance, would have changed his mind if Kamala Harris became president? I don't think so. There's a lot of people changing their tune because Donald Trump is in office, and I don't blame them, as they should. You're like, I don't want no problems with Donald Trump, so let me go ahead and change. You know, there are some people like, no, I'm going to stand 10 toes down. Good luck. Good luck with that. But nonetheless, when it comes to fact checking, my thing is don't delete or erase or alter my comment. Just leave my comment and put fact and put the truth there. That's perfectly fine. But again, people were complaining that a lot of their comments, a lot of the things that were stated openly, they were being deleted and or altered. So now they're switching to community notes. So a lot of people may like that. And a lot of people, as they stated, may, oh, there's going to be a lot of misinformation. Again, we've had misinformation for quite some time now. I believe we'll be able to deal with it. Finally, the U.S. has added several Chinese tech giants to its blacklist, accusing them of collaborating with China's military. This move could escalate already tense relations between the two global superpowers. Now, I recall investing in Tencent. Because it states here, if you guys can bear with me once more, the U.S. Department of Defense has added Chinese tech companies, Tencent, a social media and gaming giant, and CATL, also known as CATL, the world's largest battery maker, to a list of firms that it alleges work with the Chinese military. Shares in Tencent, which owns Chinese super app WeChat, were 6.5% lower in Hong Kong on Tuesday, while CATL Shenzhen list shares lost more than 3%. CNN has reached out, which supplies batteries to Tesla, CATL, which supplies batteries to Tesla, and plans to provide its knowledge and services to Ford to make lithium-ion batteries at a plant in Michigan for comment. And so what had me thinking here was, if we're banning CATL, who was supplying Tesla with some of their batteries, even though Tesla makes their own batteries, I was thinking, how is Tesla going to get the amount of batteries that it needs? Because again, a lot of times when you're a large maker like Tesla or any other car company, you may be creating things internally, like Elon Musk creates his own lithium batteries, but he's not producing enough for his production of all the vehicles that he may have, especially some of the vehicles that he may be selling in China. So he like, is this best to hire a company in China to make the same batteries we're making, so the production is a lot quicker instead of shipping and got to import, export tax and cost and regulation fees and all those things. So it's just better to do it in China. So my question is he going to stop selling Teslas in China? Or is he going to outsource to another Chinese company? Or is everything's going to be American made? Because that's the question I had. What is the largest lithium battery maker in the U.S.? And it's LG Chem Michigan. And it goes on to state their projected revenue of $171.4 million. And then down here, if you guys can see this, other major lithium battery manufacturers in North America includes Panasonic, Japanese, Duracell, American, Samsung, Korean, and Tesla, as we know to be American. So again, these are some of the hot topics and news for you guys today. We had quite a bit that we covered, but nonetheless, this is what's happening. Thank you guys for joining me here this morning. You guys have a great and wonderful day. This is Blacklogic.